They say it's 4 elements to hip hop. I say it's 5. The 5th element. We started out just playing. Never really got what the OGs were saying. Just waiting to get a weight up.
That was good, man. It's your boy Champion Ox, Sacramento rapper. You know, I'm here with Shawntay. Get this shit done real quick. When did I fall in love with hip hop? I mean, as far as what I'm told, I fell in love young before I knew what love was. Biggie, One More Chance, Barely Could Walk, whatever. But I think I fell in love with hip hop consciously after seeing my pops get on stage and perform, and get a lot of love from the crowd and things like that. The way they flow, all that, the way they put everything together. That's when I think I really fell in love with hip hop. But I think it came early too, before I knew what it really was.
My name is McYee, but they call me Katie. They call me bitch. They call me, hey, how much does it cost to get on there? They call me, you should put me on. They call me Mick Yizzle. They call me Trap Barbara Walters. They call me the big white bitch. They call me a lot of names, but I go by MC Yee or McYee.
When did you first fall in love with hip hop?
I have an infant story, and it'll be short because I know how time goes so fast when people speak, especially about what they love, right? So I was in 8th grade. I was in Texas, Beaumont, Texas. My parents lived there. I lived with them, obviously. Fresh Prince, Parents Just Don't Understand came out, and I had to have that album. Like, I had to have that album. Now, they didn't know that in the same breath I was listening to like bootleg tapes. We had tapes back then of the Ghetto Boys from Houston. So I was listening to the total opposite of Fresh Prince. So for me asking them for Fresh Prince, they got lucky. Y'all got lucky. But that was my first love of hip hop, was in Texas, I would say it was a caveat between Ghetto Boys and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Parents Just Don't Understand, specifically that song.
I go by Blee. I basically came up in the Sacramento scene under FSKO, which is Chuck Taylor's label.
So, when did you fall in love with hip hop?
Oh yeah, Shit, like probably like 93. Souls of Mischief, Tribe Called Quest, Cool Nut, Ascari X. Come back if you don't Google all those. But I was on that balance right there, and I think 93 did it for me. But more or less like Black Moon, this group called Black Moon, out of New York, and he had a MC named Buckshot, and them niggas just, I don't know, that and the combination of Souls of Mischief, seeing some East Oakland niggas that look like me, the powerful feng shui you get from seeing someone who looks like you at that impressionable age. I think I was like 16, 17, something like that. I don't know. It was groovy, and I fell in love. And from there, it was, man, listen. Man, I'm scratching my veins. I gotta get my IV in there, because I'm addicted to this shit. I love it. I love the communal energy of it, the tribal essence of it, and I also love the technicality of it. Beautiful thing.
What up? It's Brew Lee, Sacramento, California. I'm an MC. I moved to Sacramento by way of Ohio. I make hip hop games, and I research hip hop every day, learn and study about hip hop every day. So, historian.
When did you first fall in love with hip hop?
Officially, knew I was in love with hip hop. My older cousin Nikki took me on my first ride on a public transportation, a bus, to the movie theaters, and we went and saw Crush Groove, and that movie had Run DMC in it, Fat Boys, LL Cool J, New Edition, Curtis Blow. Yeah, that was it for me. Like, when I saw that movie and I came home, I just wanted to see more hip hop.
Yo, what's up? My name is Chuck Taylor, also known as Chuck T, who you may know as one of the godfathers of Sacramento hip-hop. Yo, what up? What's up, Shawntay? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm great.
Good. So, Chuck, tell me when you fell in love with hip hop.
Oh, wow. When I fell in love with hip hop. There's a lot of points in my memory where I fell in love with hip hop, but because I'm 53 years old, in 78 or 79, whenever Rapper's Delight was actually on the radio, it was one of the times in memory I can say that Sacramento radio wasn't behind. They were on top of it. My mom had me in Little League, and I played over at Airport Little League, which a lot of people in Sac know. And some of her adult friends had kids my age, and we got in the van, and it was a blue van. I remember it was a blue van, and we were all in the back of this van, Astro van, I guess, and then doom 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 doom, and when that came on, and all the kids started rapping along with that in the car, I didn't know the words. It was a week later I knew the words. You were saying it, and it was all the kids were all in the back, and the chicken tastes like wood. That was the favorite line of all of the kids. We were little kids, and we couldn't wait to get to that part where we say, and the chicken tastes like wood. A baby bubba. Anything that was in that song that was transferable to kid language, we couldn't wait to say it. Anytime that was on, we chewing bubble gum, we just that was when I fell in love with hip hop, right off the top. Even though it was a stolen rap, it was bitten from top to bottom. What was great about that, well, you'll find out later, but it's really dope.
Hi, I'm Beto Davalos, 51 years old, born and raised in Sacramento, full-time hip-hop head, part-time cannabis consultant.
When did you fall in love with hip hop?
My uncle George, my uncle Danny, they were DJs. We're talking late 70s, early 80s, you know what I'm saying? At the Galactica 2000. Was an old club downtown. And I grew up listening to them practice all the time. And there was a couple records that they played a lot in their little rotation of records, and one of them, it sounded familiar, but I didn't like it. I was like, and that was Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight. I love Chic, I love the original beat, but I didn't like how dudes were rapping on it. I thought it was corny. Even though I never heard rapping before, I thought that, I heard what's old girl that was rapping in some R&B song. I forget her name. Maybe it was Evelyn Champagne King or something like that, right? And it was she did a little in her song, and I was thinking they're trying to do what she did, but that sounded she did it way better. I'm not digging it, right? And then this other record they played was like nothing I ever heard in my life. It sounded like I was really into Transformers and shit, right? And it sounded like this was Transformer theme song music, you know what I'm saying? And it was Planet Rock, you know what I'm saying? And that motherfucker just grabbed me.
Hi, I'm Olivia Monahan, aka Liv Styler. I'm a journalist and editor here in Sacramento, and I wouldn't be a journalist and editor here in Sacramento if it wasn't for hip hop. Well, I fall in love with hip hop probably at least once a year, but the first time I fell in love with hip hop was definitely, it was either 89 or 90. I feel like it was 89 when Humpty Dance came out by Digital Underground, and I was only 6. I should not have been Humpty Dancing. But I lived in Oak Park. I was over off First Ave. It was playing in the neighborhood all the time, and it was right after the big earthquake had hit, and the dance that they did looked like you were shaking in the middle of an earthquake. And even at 6, I appreciated the petty. You know what I mean? Even at 6, I was like, who is Shock G? And I should ascribe to be him, and maybe I should get a fake nose. So yeah, the first time I fell in love with hip hop was definitely Digital Underground and Shock G and the Humpty Dance. And the real reason I fell in love with hip hop came from Digital Underground, which was Tupac. Because if it wasn't for Digital Underground, you wouldn't have heard about Tupac, at least not in the same way, not in the same time frame, not in the same manner, and not with that same encouragement that he had. So like, I fell in love with like a true like bastion of hip hop, especially in the Bay Area in Northern California. And so my roots started like right in this little region, and that's where that love kind of grew and has maintained ever since. So that's when I fell in love with hip hop.
How you doing? My name is Famous. I have been in radio for about 18, 19 years. Got a lot of game from music, and I'm just a music enthusiast, more so with a specialty and a love for Northern California.
When did you fall in love with hip hop?
That is a really good question. It's kind of hard to break down from what specifically is hip hop, right? So growing up, I was listening to stuff like Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Smokey Robinson and stuff like that. But I think Michael Jackson really in like 86 is like what kicked off for me, because I was 6 years old at that time, and I remember loving it. He had a song called Beat It, and then I remember being in elementary and I got this tape this had to be somewhere around 89. I got my first cassette tape. It was a Biz Markie record, cassette, right? And the funny thing is, for years, I have been telling people that this was the first tape that I've ever had, and I had never been able to find the song until today, which is crazy. I have only heard that tape back in like 89. I was 9 years old, and I haven't heard it until minutes before coming over here. So yeah, nonstop rocking to the break of dawn. That was the first cassette that I ever had. And around that time, I was also listening to Tupac. I was listening to Ice Cube. And being from Oakland, there was someone who was consistently selling their music all the time. And his name was Todd. I stayed on 73rd, and up the street from me was this park called Arroyo, and it was just this dude who was selling music out of his trunk, and Todd was actually Too Short. And so me and my boys, we used to buy tapes from Too Short, and I loved hip hop. Like, I was so back in, from 86 it started, and I think 89 is just when it took over me.
My name is Gabby, but everybody knows me as Queen G to you. Holla at your girl. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm from South Sacramento. Valley High is my stomping ground. I'm a hip hopper because I started promoting, managing artists. 2023, photography, videography, jumping into the creative world. So that's what I do now. When did I fall in love with hip hop? Shoot, this is such a beautiful story that I'm about to tell. When my dad introduced me to hip hop. Here's this man from Mexico. What do you know about American music? Well, he made me sit my ass down and was like, just be quiet. Next thing I know, I'm listening. I'm like, what is this? But I'm still, my head is nodding, and he's over here like, I like to kind of beat boy. And I'm looking at my dad like, okay. Next thing I know, don't you ever forget whose Rapper Delight is. I was like, that's Rapper's Delight? He was like, yeah, we're always gonna play this, ever. This is one of the greatest hip hop groups of all times. Just watch. And from that day forward, Rapper's Delight, anytime it came on, it was just like my dad all of a sudden.
When they touching down from out of town, check in, cause they be plotting on you and who
My name is Nomad. I'm from Sacramento, California, South Sacramento to be exact. I've been on the Sacramento scene probably since about 2011, but I was rapping way before that. I'm a part of TPR, the People's Revolution, Nation of Hardheads. I am a hip hop artist. I do a bunch of things. I'm a chef. I'm a licensed barber. I'm a nutritionist. I work with athletes and stuff like that. I'm a high school coach, a skills coach. I remember the first time I started I started having love for hip hop. Like when I really fell in love with it, it was crazy. Like the artist that you'll probably be surprised. The artist that caught my attention was MC Breed. Ain't No Future in Your Front. That was the first song ever. It's crazy that I be thinking about, I be laughing at it. I'm like, man, that was like in the early 90s. I think like maybe 92 or something like that. Somewhere around there. And I remember when I first heard the song and I liked it so much. I wrote down, I remember I begged my mom to buy me the tape. You gotta buy me the cassette tapes. Back then it was cassette tapes. You know what I'm saying? We had tapes. And they used to have singles. And the singles would have the radio version, they had the album version, and then some of them, if you was lucky, they have like the instrumentals and stuff like that on there. So this one had all three. And I was like, man, I gotta get that tape because one of my boys had it. I'm like, oh, I gotta get it. And I remember getting the tape. Finally, she bought it for me. Sam Goody, Foreign Mall. And I remember I got that damn tape and I sat in my room all day, rewinding, stopping, and until I got all the lyrics. He got like 4 verses on that damn song. That song's hella long. Like the actual version is like 4 minutes and something like that. I'm like, I remember I wrote that shit down word for word.
Hi, I'm Miss Ashley. How do I connect to Sacramento hip-hop? A few ways. I had a few radio shows. I had a few internet radio shows. I hosted the Sammys one year and presented a couple years. I booked for a live hip-hop venue for a while. That's how I would say I correlate. I just used to be involved in the scene.
When did you fall in love with hip-hop?
Jesus. I thought about that because I was thinking about this and I'm like, when did I fall in love with hip-hop? And I realized it's going to be this is a very typical answer from a white bitch. The first time I can remember, wanting to learn every lyric and having my double cassette boombox and having the tape in and stopping it and writing it down, rewinding, stopping, writing it down, blah, 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 was Beastie Boys' Pass the Mic, which if you actually know the lyrics to that song, it doesn't make a fucking lick of sense, my guy. It doesn't make any fucking sense like any Beastie Boys song does. Now, Beastie Boys are fucking great. We love them. Yes, rest in peace. But none of that shit make any sense, but it sounds good. So, that's the first song I remember, wanting to learn every lyric to and being, super into it. But I have to say, this is, fucking very apropos. The first time I think I fell in love and busted every fucking album and knew every word and I was listening to it on my Discman in between classes. I remember I think it was either a sophomore or a junior and I hella remember listening to it in my Discman and knowing every fucking word and it was a big deal. It was fucking Eminem from JDLP. What do you want from me, my guy? So I was really into that and that's the first album I think I ever got into. But that being said, the first time I really, really fell in love with hip hop and was I felt like it was life changing was it's a toss up between Mos Def, Black on Both Sides, and The Roots' Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart changed my fucking life. Just lyrically and fucking also I'm not that music isn't made for me. I'm not from that shit, you know what I mean? So it was also a way to kind of gain some sort of fucking understanding or appreciation of just what other people fucking be dealing with and shit.
What's going on? My name is McYee Bush. I am from Sacramento, California. I call it Backpackamento because I am an underground hip hop artist. I am an MC. I'm a b-boy. I am a dad and I love hip hop. First time I fell in love with hip hop, I must have been at least 2 or 3 years old. And I had just heard, I believe it was the Sugar Hill Gangs, Rapper's Delight. I was sitting in the back of my uncle's car or something like that. And it just caught my ear, just the rhythm and the rhymes or whatever. And it, you know, as you're a kid, rhymes and rhythm is kind of a big, important deal when you're a baby. So like that comes on, so I'm just like geeking out over that. And then I talked to my cousin, my older cousin, Damien, and he was like, I was telling him about Houdini. I was like, yo, Houdini's dope, this and that. He's like, man, Houdini's whack. You need to listen to Beastie Boys. You need to listen to this. And he turns it on and it's like LL Cool J's dad. So then I'm like, oh shoot, he likes this. Like, this is dope. And then it turned into watching, you know, Wild Style and freaking Electric Boogaloo and Crush Groove. Crush Groove is huge for me, especially because being a fat, chubby kid, like Prince Marky D from the Fat Boys, like I instantly like gravitated to, and they're freaking hilarious. But then like I get to see Run DMC and Curtis Blow, and I got goosebumps talking about it. And then I saw Sheila E, and that was like my first crush. So I was just like, yo, this movie is dope. Like, this is everything. And then here comes LL. You don't even say much. He's just like, box. And he just starts spitting. So like, yeah, that whole period, I mean, you can name like, you know, Kool Moe Dee and all that stuff. Like, that's when I fell in love with hip hop. And then seeing, you know, Rocksteady Crew, Mr. Freeze, Crazy Legs, Ken Swift on the movie Flashdance. Like, I wanted to watch Flashdance, and I was like, why aren't they in the rest of the movie? I was so mad. I didn't want to see the movie. I wanted to see them the whole time.
All right, what's up? My name is Baygod. I'm an artist from Sacramento, California. I am a singer, songwriter, rapper, producer, videographer. I run an independent label called Bedroom Trap with my partner, Space, aka Nate the Great from the Cuff. I've been putting out music in Sacramento for about 10 years, and I'm going to tell you today about how I fell in love with hip-hop.
When did you fall in love with hip-hop?
So my first like real experiences with hip-hop were when I was really, really young, but I just don't think when I was younger I realized all the way that what hip-hop was and like how much it was going to impact my life as I got older. Like, first record I ever bought was Crazy Sexy Cool TLC, a very hip-hop influenced record. You know, and female rappers, things that now affect me. I think the first time that I really realized that I fell in love with hip-hop was probably when I was about 15 or 16, when I moved back to Sacramento. I was really big into like Mac Dre and the hyphy movement. That is a section of hip hop. So my first experience was with like regional hip hop. And then when I met Space, aka Nate the Great, when I met him, that's when I found out about like, you know, Jay Dilla and like Slum Village and like, you know, a bunch of other artists that I like, Doom, you know, I don't know, just like a bunch of like actual like underground and more conscious hip hop, lyrical, 90s hip hop, New York hip hop, like things that I didn't really all the way find for myself growing up just because of what I was exposed to and whatnot. A lot of it was more mainstream experiences with hip hop. So I think I really fell in love with it, I would say, yeah, when I was like 18 or 19, around that era.
My name is Chewy. I'm from South Sacramento, California. I've been rapping for about 13 or 14 years, and I'm about to tell you the first time I fell in love with hip hop.
All right. When did you first fall in love with hip hop?
I love telling this story because it's never different. Like, it's always exactly the same every time I tell it. We had basic TV. We didn't have cable. I was probably, I want to say 6 or 7 years old. And there used to be this channel on the TV. It was like mad fuzzy. You couldn't see shit. Like, you had to like tweak the antenna and it still wouldn't come through. There was a channel called either Music Box or Video Box or something like that. It was on channel 29. And I'm playing in my room one day, and I always forget which one it was exactly. It was either Full Clip or Mass Appeal by Gangstar. I want to say it was Mass Appeal. Like it was a video of Gangstar, and they were in like in the hallway of the projects, and like the way the camera was panning, it looked like Boys in the Hood. Like I was like, oh, this is wild. This shit is crazy. And I first heard Guru rapping and was like, damn, I think I want to try that. Like that shit is insane. And a couple weeks after that, like maybe almost a month after that, my mom was going to Sac City for like business management and something in music, but I was too young to like care about any of that. I walked in her room one day and she had those pull back bead curtains, and like she's sitting there with the headphones on, and she's got like mixers and shit, and like the computer, like one of them old joints, like the M-DOS joint, like before it was really Windows like that. Like she's sitting there like going crazy on the keyboard. I think I walked in there to ask for a snack or something. Like she snapped at me. She's like, "What the fuck you want?" Like, okay, can I get some candy? She's like, yeah, I'm doing something. Leave me the fuck alone. And I turned back around, like it just looked like a spaceship to me. Like she was in there laying down some track. She was in there making a beat for it at the same time, and like my mind was blown. Like from there, I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to rap. Like this shit is crazy. I just saw the video last week. At that point, I'm like able to name off like every person on the Def Jam roster. Like I'm like, my mom is doing this shit. Oh, it's over. Like I'm about to rap, dog. And I think I wrote my first rap like that month. I was only like 8 years old. I wrote my first rap to Green Sleeves by Beethoven. It was fucking horrible. I still remember the chorus.
What's up? My name is Prop the Producer, Track Cartel, and I'm a music producer in Sacramento, California. When did I fall in love with hip hop? I remember. So I grew up in a very religious household. So I remember, I was only able to listen to gospel music and stuff like that growing up. So I remember being on the back of the bus in middle school and really listening to my friend's tape player. And the first thing I ever really listened to was LL Cool J. And the first real hip hop song that I really listened to after that was that really stuck out to me, I should say, was All About the Benjamins. Yeah. The Locks, P. Diddy, What You Want to Do? Want to be ballers? Hey. For sure. So that's what really got me started and really searching for tapes, searching for ways to sneak it into my house and listen to hip hop music.
I'm Space, aka Nate the Great, formerly known as. I'm a rapper, producer. I own a label with my partner Bay Guy. And I'm just an OG Sacramento head. I fell in love with hip hop in the 70s. I was watching a Lou Rawls telethon. I think it was 79, 78, somewhere there. And the original Pop Lockers came on. I don't know if you even know who Lou Rawls is or what a telethon is. But so they would have little segments of kind of just random acts, singing, dancing, whatever. And this group called the original Lockers, or the Lockers, I think, came out. And there was one dude who did the robot. They all just kind of pop locked or whatever. And there was one guy who just stayed in robot the whole time. And I was like, yo, that's what I want to do. And so I started as a dancer. So that's really when I fell in love with hip hop. And from there, I've ever since been going. Yeah.
Yes, it is I, the mighty Mike Jordan, representative of the People's Revolution, hip hop, Sacramento, all that good stuff, aka Nondescript Scientific, aka Insight Nonstop, aka Vandal Savage, whatever other aka you want to attach to it in the flesh.
So, when did you fall in love with hip hop?
That's a complicated question. It's kind of like kind of like falling in love with like your wife or something, because there's the first time that you meet them, there's the first time you really notice them, then there's the first time you're like, oh crap, like I'm really into this person, and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna orient my life around this, you know. So I'll tell it like that. But I got to give some context first. Unlike most kids that grew up in California, I was born and raised in Sacramento, right? But my brothers are from the East Coast, and they're a lot older than me. So when I was 3, my brother, who's 12 years older than me, came out from the East Coast, followed shortly by my other brother, who's 10 years older than me. So they were up on stuff way before a lot of other people were up on stuff. And I remember listening to, you know, things like Slick Rick, you know, Curtis Blow, like pretty early stuff. But the moment I remember, and this was at my man Jeremiah's house. Rest in peace to Jeremiah. He just recently passed. Much love to the Gonzalez family. But my man Jeremiah, his big brother Aaron was best friends with my big brother Ben. And I was at the house one time kicking it, and they were in the garage, and Aaron had a set of decks. They were DJing, right? So they were, you know, doing their little, you know, like their little hip hop shit. And I'm like a little kid, and I'm like looking, like the garage door is like open. It's like the old barn kind where it closes like that. And I'm looking, I'm like, what is this? And I like step on a twig or something. My brother, I remember spinning around, he just strides over the door and just closes that shit in my face. That cultivated like this lifelong fascination. What are they doing? What are they doing? Then, you know, you see it on TV. So this brings me to my next one. LL Cool J's performance at the American Music Awards. I think this would have been 1986 when he did I'm Bad. And that was like the first rap song where I knew all the lyrics. Somewhere somebody probably has a tape of me performing it in school. And at the same time, Kool Moe Dee came out. LL Cool J was like the embodiment of like young black coolness, like just like testosterone on legs, right? When you're 7, you think that is the coolest motherfucker that ever walked the earth. But Kool Moe Dee came out. He had this song called Wild Wild West, which was dope because, you know, we're from the West Coast, like whatever. My brother loved it. And then he came out with this album called Funky Funky Wisdom, which didn't have a lot of hits, but I picked it up. And this fool was doing so much conceptually with rap music. And then I dove deeper into it, and you know, when I got a little older, I learned about the stuff he did with the Treacherous 3 and his early innovations with hip hop, inventing double time, largely inventing concept raps, inventing battling as we know it against Busy Bee Starsky. Like between Kool Moe Dee and Rakim, almost everything that rappers do that's beyond just bargain basement rap that was derived from like the jazz DJs from the 60s, right? Beyond that, it goes to them.
Now you know I love you though. I just need the same energy all the time. That's right.
It's only one ad-lib track so far, right? Okay.
Mic check, 1 2. Mic check.
Yeah.
Pick it. See, I can use this. Like, this is
Nefertiti,
cute,
your features and you ain't even Egyptian. Yeah. Opium Kush mixed in, you my human addiction.
This is only with one small hit.
Let's go half on a baby, yeah, we doing big additions.
Testing.
Let's go half on the business so the baby got food, clothing every night. I protect you with every night. No splitting the bill, let's go half on the routine. You could be my wisdom and I gladly be your king. You feeling undecided, indecisive, I could be your intuition. If they got a problem, I'ma let it sing. Fuck the past, we blasting into the future. Show you how to hold these cannons, wrap your fingers round this Ruger.